Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Arjun Chaudhary. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Thursday, the 8th of January. Prime Minister Modi invites people of Indian origin to be a part of country's growth story. BNP to continue indefinite blockade in Bangladesh even on Biswa Ijtema. And people of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir protest against rising terrorism in the region. And now for all the details. Prime Minister Narendra Modi urged the Indian diaspora to come and contribute in the development of their home country. He inaugurated the world's largest annual gathering of people of Indian origin on Thursday.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi opened the 13th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas or the Indian Diaspora Day in Western Gandhinagar on Thursday. Calling the diaspora a great capital, he said opportunities in India await all those whose forefathers left the country. The Prime Minister called upon non-resident Indians across the world to forge and take pride in a common identity and heritage.
जिस प्रकार से विश्व में रहने वाले भारतीयों के साथ भारत का नाता महत्वपूर्ण है, उतना ही भारत के लिए विश्व में रहने वाले भारतीयों के प्रति नाभि का नाता उतना ही जरूरी है। ये वन में नहीं है, ये दो तरफा है और इस दो तरफा को बल देने का हमारा प्रयास है।
Hard-selling India as a suitable investment destination, Prime Minister Modi appealed to both NRIs and persons of Indian origin or PIOs to come forward and be a part of the various initiatives undertaken by his government to boost the economy.
आज मैं गर्व के साथ आपको हिसाब दे सकता हूं कि अब PIO और OCI का दोनों व्यवस्थाओं को मर्ज कर दिया गया है और सबको एक ही प्रकार की सुविधाएं मिल पाएगी। वीजा ऑन अराइवल आपके लिए ये सुविधा कर दी गई है।
Prime Minister Modi also asked the gathering to join his government's flagship program to clean the river Ganges. Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj had on Wednesday also addressed the youth of Indian origin as part of the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. The three-day annual celebration this year has more than 4,000 delegates participating in the gathering aimed at enhancing networking and reinforcing commercial linkages. There are 25 million people of Indian origin residing outside the country. The event this year also marks the centenary of India's Sarvashreshta Pravasi Bharatiya or foremost Indian diaspora member Mahatma Gandhi's return to the country from South Africa.
Sri Lanka voted in its crucial presidential elections on Thursday. Incumbent President Mahinda Rajapaksa is seeking a third consecutive term in office against former cabinet colleague Maithripala Sirisena.
Voters began queuing up outside polling booths from early morning to cast their franchise. Over 12,300 polling stations have been set up for some 15 million eligible voters across the country. Though a total of 19 candidates are in the fray for the top job, the main fight is between the United People's Freedom Alliance candidate Mahinda Rajapaksa and Maithripala Sirisena of the New Democratic Front. Both the leading contenders had turned up to cast their votes early in the day itself. President Rajapaksa expressed confidence of his victory.
අපි අති විශිෂ්ට ජයග්‍රහණයක් ලබනවා. අපේ ජයග්‍රහණය අති විශිෂ්ට වෙන්නේ පරාජිතයාට වඩාත් හොඳට සලකන එකයි. ඒක තමයි මම විශ්වාස කරන්නේ.
Amid fears of poll rigging, about 25,000 local and 55 international election observers were deployed to monitor the polls. Voters said they want their new president to be someone who can keep the country united.
I would like to see that we are fair by all sectors of the community, that we don't necessarily give in to anybody, but be fair by all sectors. We can't divide the country, but that we should move together somehow or rather.
Incumbent President Rajapaksa, who is fighting a number of corruption and nepotism allegations, is facing what is seen as his toughest challenge so far from his former cabinet colleague. Hoping the infrastructure development in the country will turn into votes, he had announced snap polls in November with nearly 2 years remaining for his term to end. President Rajapaksa, who is credited for ending the LTT insurgency in the island nation in 2009, has however not been able to reconcile with the Tamil linguistic minority so far. A member of the country's majority Buddhist community, Rajapaksa is also not considered a favorite among the minorities.
Pakistan President Mamnoon Hussain signed the bill allowing the establishment of military courts in the country. Pakistan aims to try some 3,400 suspected terrorists in the next 2 years.
The 21st Amendment of Pakistan Constitution, which was passed by the two houses of the parliament, got the President's nod on Wednesday. The special courts that will function under the Pakistan Army across the country are expected to begin operations in 2 weeks. Militants arrested during the ongoing anti-Taliban offensive in the tribal areas, along with hundreds of others who are facing trials in various anti-terrorism courts, are expected to be tried under the new setup. The proposal to establish the military courts, despite opposition from various political parties, was made by the Nawaz Sharif government after Pakistan Taliban attacked the Peshawar Army School, killing 142 people. Pakistan had also revoked a 6-year moratorium on death penalties in terror cases following the barbaric incident. So far, at least 8 convicted terrorists whose mercy pleas were rejected by the President have been hanged. Interior Minister Chaudhry Nisar confirmed of shortlisting 47 more convicts who will be executed soon. Khan also said that the government will initiate crackdown on proxy organizations of terror outfits.
ऐसे organizations जो किसी और नाम से काम कर रही थी उनके खिलाफ कार्रवाई शुरू हो गई है जो भी टेररिस्ट रिलेटेड हैं उनके खिलाफ भी कार्रवाई शुरू हो गई खास तौर पे पंजाब में और केपीके में.
In the meantime, an anti-terrorism court in Pakistan has also convicted an Al-Qaeda operative to death for abduction and murder of Usaid worker. 73-year-old Warren Weinstein was picked up by militants in Lahore in August 2013. A year later, he appeared in an Al-Qaeda video urging the US government to free a setup of Al-Qaeda prisoners. Weinstein has not been seen ever since the release of that video.
And even while Pakistan is executing capital punishments of terrorists, dreaded militant leader Ikramul Haq's hanging has been suspended. The co-founder of Sipah-e-Sahaba Pakistan, who was to be hanged on Thursday, got an 11th-hour respite after his lawyers informed authorities that the complainants had forgiven him. Haq was awarded death sentence in 2004 by an anti-terrorism court for the murder of a minority Shia community member inside a mosque. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party has refused to call off its nationwide indefinite shutdown, facilitating the movement of devotees coming to attend the Biswa Ijtema. The second largest Islamic congregation in the world will begin in Bangladeshi capital Dhaka on Friday.
The ongoing nationwide shutdown called by the BNP completed its 3rd day on Thursday. Despite requests from religious and political organizations, the BNP, however, refused to call off the blockade. Various bodies had urged the party to relax its shutdown to facilitate movement of millions of devotees coming to attend the Biswa Ijtema in capital Dhaka. Meanwhile, the violence spread to more parts of the country on Thursday. At least 15 vehicles were torched by BNP activists in Janida as they tried to enforce the shutdown. Clashes were also reported from various parts of the country between the supporters of the BNP and ruling Awami League. At least 5 people have been killed so far since Monday. BNP supporters reportedly damaged a railway track in Maulvi Bazaar, some 120 miles north of Dhaka, resulting in the derailment of a train. At least 50 people, mostly devotees coming to attend the Ijtema, were injured in the mishap. BNP Supremo Begum Khalida Zia reiterated that the blockade will continue even if it will affect the Islamic congregation. Bangladesh police had on Thursday opened the gates of Zia's office, where she has been confined for the past 5 days, that had disabled her to leave the premises due to heavy police deployment outside the premises. Zia had called for a nationwide shutdown on Monday after her party was refused permission to hold an anti-government demonstration on the first anniversary of the general elections.
A blasphemy accused in Pakistan was shot dead in eastern Punjab province days after he was released from jail. The bullet-riddled body of Abid Mahmood, aka Abid Kazab, was found in Taxila, some 17 miles from Rawalpindi on Wednesday. According to reports, the targeted killing took place after a group of masked men took him from his house the day before. The owner of a hotel, 52-year-old Mahmood, had claimed prophethood in October 2011, and a case of blasphemy was registered against him on a complaint by his son-in-law. Blasphemy is a sensitive issue in Pakistan and carries the death penalty for insulting Prophet Muhammad or desecrating the Quran. Several times accused become victims of vigilante justice by the mob for alleged blasphemy. At least 3 blasphemy accused were killed inside jail in 2014 alone. People in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir are angry with the establishment in Pakistan. The remote region, which itself has regularly been a victim of militancy, has stood against the rising incidents of terrorism in its neighboring areas. A report.
Pakistan might be struggling to come to terms with the Taliban attack at the Peshawar Army School last month, but the effects of the bloody massacre continue to reflect in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir or POK. Residents of capital Muzaffarabad are out on the streets holding vigils and candlelight marches against the rising tide of violence. Protesters said such barbaric incidents won't deter their own fight against terrorism.
मैं जो जज्बा देख रहा हूँ कि अब अगर कोई दहशतगर्द नजर भी आएगा तो ये कोई इसको हमारी आवाम जो है ये बिल्कुल उसको नहीं छोड़ेगी, चाहे अपनी जान चली जाए, लेकिन उसको नहीं छोड़ेंगे हम।
इस टेररिज्म को एटलीस्ट आप खत्म करें ताकि हमारे जैसे बच्चे हम अपने स्कूलों में आराम से जाके पढ़ सकें। हम बिल्कुल डरते नहीं हैं टेररिज्म से, लेकिन हमारी फिर भी ख्वाहिश है कि जो बच्चे हैं हमारे छोटे बहन भाई हैं, बड़े बहन भाई, एटलीस्ट वो डरें।
POK has remained a victim of militancy for decades now. It has become a hub of terror activities with frequent cases of violence and targeted killings on a daily basis. Many have also blamed Pakistan for nurturing militant camps in the remote region which openly propagate hatred and terror against those who demand freedom here.
वो लोग जो नॉन स्टेट सब्जेक्ट हैं, जो आज़ाद कश्मीर के अंदर किसी न किसी तरीके से जो है वो घुसे हुए हैं, इस खित्ते को पुरअमन रखने के लिए ज़रूरी है कि उनके बारे में जो है एक लाएमन तैयार किया जाए, एक हिकमत अमली इख्तियार की जाए कि किस तरीके से इस खित्ते को महफूज रखा जा सकता है।
These facilities, run by terror groups like the Lashkar-e-Taiba and the Jamaat-ud-Dawa, are suspected of indoctrinating religious fundamentalism. It is estimated that there are at least 36 terror training camps here. Many blame the administration for not taking up steps to counter rising incidents of terrorism here.
क्यों नहीं हम बेखुनी करते, क्यों हम इस वजह को खत्म नहीं करते कि ये दहशतगर्दी, ये जुल्म यहाँ से खत्म हो। कोई तो हो जो सीना तान के खड़ा हो, कोई तो हो जो ये किसका जवाब दे, लेकिन क्या करें, हर एक की तरफ मुंह देखते कि हम थक गए हैं। जब से होश संभाला गली कूचे में यही अशर बरपा है, जब से आंख खोली ये जुल्म के अंबार यहाँ हमने देखे हैं। आखिर तो कोई वजह होगी, बाकी भी दाएं बाएं दुनिया बसती है। हमारे हमसाया ममालिक भी हैं, वो भी मुसलमान हैं, जो गैर मजहब है उनमें भी देखे कभी रेगान एक इंसान का भी खून नहीं गया, ना किसी बंदे को नहीं मारे गया।
Pakistan, which has illegally occupied POK for over 6 decades, has cloaked the region with large contingents of its army and intelligence agencies, making it impossible for scrutiny by the international community.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude the top stories once again. Prime Minister Modi invites people of Indian origin to be a part of country's growth story. BNP to continue indefinite blockade in Bangladesh, even on Biswa Ijtema. And people of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir protest against rising terrorism in the region. Now viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter at SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.